Greg Swann joins us. G'day, Greg.
I think you're doing that, KB, aren't you?
No, I'm not. A lot of SMSs coming through from Carlton fans, keen that you get a key forward somehow through this trade period. And they're talking about Jay Pott, and they're talking about McKernan. They're talking about pick one, maybe Tom Boyd, if you entertain that sort of idea for a deal. What about a key forward for the Mighty Blues?
I think what you just said before, they're hard to come by. Those that have got them are hanging on to them, and some of the other guys that are out there, yeah, we've had a look, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
So you're still in the market to try and get one?
Oh, look, if there's one there that suits, yeah.
Jay Pott, is he of great interest?
I know he'd just gone off to Adelaide,
yep.
So I think as I keep saying on these things, these guys are going to make up their mind, what they want to do, and we're in the mix for them, but we've just got to. We're not going to do it at any price, I suppose, is where we're at.
Is this a whole period? Is it too long? I did a take this morning saying that it seems to go on forever and ever and ever.
Way too long. I mean, it was probably too short when it started on a Monday and finished on a Friday,
yep.
But it's certainly, if it's had a finish yesterday, 10 days, I think is plenty of time. I mean, it's really, to be perfectly honest, it's not fair on the players. There's a lot of pressure on them, and also from an administrator's point of view, it just goes for too long because it's a bit like school homework. When you've got 3 weeks, you wait to the end to do it all. So not all of them, but a few. Most of the deals will probably get done next week. And all that really happens is there's a lot of speculation in the meantime, and most of it's not right. So. Which can put clubs under pressure, or gets people's hopes up, and things aren't actually happening. But anyway, that's just how it is. So the last 2 years has been like a 3-week period, and I think if you speak to most clubs, they'd say that it's way too long. Another
8 days to go. In the take this morning, I said it seems more time that we give the clubs, players, and managers the longer it takes to make a deal. And as you say, with the homework analogy, I used to think we needed to be longer so that more deals could be done, so that players, because we used to hear all the time that a certain player wanted to leave his club, but one big deal held up everyone, and then by the time they got around to doing that deal, the player missed out. But it seems that somehow we need something in between.
Yeah, I think that's right, because I think just seems to me at the moment everybody's waiting to see what else comes up, because you might have a verbal deal. I mean, us with Sam Doherty, we think we're pretty close, but Brisbane haven't quite agreed to it yet, and so we just think that maybe they're waiting for something, to see what else is out there. So that allows that to happen, which stops all the deals happening. So anyway, we'll just have to see what happens there.
Is the compensation pick a problem as well, because clubs are not quite certain what they're going to get, or they're waiting to see what maybe they can get, or predict what they can get?
Yeah, again, that's absolutely a fact, because everybody's assuming what the compensation picks will be, but until they get them, and I think that happens next week, clubs are sort of, again, jumping at shadows a bit, and I think that's probably the thing that's holding up the Del Santo deal, from what I gather, that St Kilda are trying to work out whether it's best to trade him as a contracted player or a free agent and see what the compensation will be. But until that happens, everyone's a bit in the dark.
Carlton fans interested to know, Greg Swann has joined us, Carlton CEO. Cruiser and Curnow had operations. Have they come through okay?
Yeah, no, minor ones. Cruz had that broken foot. Actually, I saw him yesterday. He was in the gym. He gets his moon boot off today, actually. So he's fine. And Ed had a bit of a tidy up on his knee. He hurt his knee in the Sydney game. But touch wood. We had, I think we had 17 operations, but most of them were pretty minor, a few fingers, and we don't expect anybody to miss first day back, so that'll be good.
Well, that's the big question coming off the SMSs. Will Daisy Thomas play round 1 for the Blues?
He will.
Okay, he will. That's a definitive answer there. He will.
Yes.
Okay. Just on that, did I read where Carlton Richmond may play round 2 because the MCG is not available for round 1?
Yeah, I did say that.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is true. It is true.
So Carlton Richmond won't play the opening game of the season then?
No, it'll be the opening game at the G, I think, but it won't be the opening game of the season. The season's starting earlier this year, and so yeah, the first game will
MCG's
be
unavailable.
Unavailable. So I think the game. I think the season starts around the 16th or 15th, 16th, whatever that weekend is in March. So it's a fair bit earlier than normal. and but because the MCG is not available, we won't be playing the Tigers first game.
Okay, so we'll each have a win under our belts before we meet in round 2.
Well, I've worn out watching that final. I've had to get a new DVD to have a look. I've worn it out having a look at that.
I haven't watched it myself. No, I haven't watched it. I'm not quite certain whether you actually were eligible to play in the finals. I'm still trying to work that out. A lot of people suggest that as Daisy Thomas actually moved back, is he living with you again, Swanee?
No, he hasn't. My daughter moved into that area of the house, and I don't think I can get her to move. No, he's fine. He's got his own digs. I think he's just built a new house. So he's. I think he's back from his holiday next week. So no, but he'd been running before he left. So
you got no concerns about his. Obviously he had a medical test. A lot of people seem to think he's got a crook ankle and he won't come up.
He certainly did have a crook ankle. There's no doubt about that. He only played 5 games last year, but no, he went off to see a number of surgeons, and everybody gave it the green light. So we're confident that he'll be fine, and as I said, he'll play round 1 and he'll join in pre-season when everyone else does. So
there was some talk also, Greg, that apart from Podsiadly, there was interest in Paul Chapman. I was hoping the Tigers might be interested in Chapman, but also the Bombers obviously seem to have the inside running. So have you given up on Paul Chapman?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, as you said before, a lot of these guys get mentioned just because you sort of it's been not. Having said early in the piece we'd be quite active in the trade period. It seems anyone who's out there seems to be, well, he's going to go to Carlton, but. Look, we've spoken to quite a number of people, but we've got a list of priorities, and until we sort of go through those, we won't. We're not just grabbing everybody willy nilly because we're also very keen to bring in some young people into the club. We just haven't, we haven't had a lot of draft picks in the last few years, so we want to have at least 4, maybe 5 picks, for kids, and so that also has an influence on who we pick up. I mean, Sam Docherty's a good one for us because he's only 20. But we still want to bring in another, group of 18-year-olds and the like through the draft as well. So we just got to make sure we balance up our list properly. Speaking
of young players, what about one of the oldest players, Heath Scotland? Is he playing on?
Look, he had an ankle operation at the end of the season. He's got to go back and get all that cleared up. But yes, Heath's. We've put it. It's up to Heath really. We're happy for him to go on, and if he feels he can, then he will. And hopefully, that decision, we don't have to rush on that. That'll be made in the next few weeks. But at this stage, it looks like he's going to play on. Yep.
And John Bootsma, one of the, he was a top young kid you got, Josh, I should say, Josh.
Yeah.
And but now the talk is, he's nominated West Coast Eagles, wants to go back home?
No, look, I'm not sure that's right. He's here at the moment. He's in Melbourne. He's obviously a kid from WA, and I think Eagles and maybe even the Dockers have had a bit of interest in him. Before we re-signed him, there was a little bit of interest from those guys. So, again, I think that might be just a bit of speculation.
Okay, so when you say speculation, that what he could...
Oh no, it's just a story. I mean, look, if they gave us Nick Naitanui, we'd trade him, and if they don't, we won't.
So that's okay. So you're not determined to offload Bootsma.
No, we're not.
Okay. There was that story that Mark Neal was going to join as assistant coach. I know that the boys rang you up and you said that's not true, that you've had no dialogue with Mark Neal, because it does seem that you need more assistant coaches down there at Carlton.
Yeah, no, we've got to get one more, but we've never spoken to Mark, and we it's not in our not on our radar that Mark comes here. So I'm not sure where that story came from, but. He won't be one of the assistants, no.
What about Scotty West? I think he got mentioned in the papers. Everyone gets mentioned with Carlton, if you know. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I think it's you. I think you started, and it goes from there. No, look, we've got somebody that we're pretty close to getting, so hopefully that can be done in the next few days.
Okay, so stay tuned. So you need one more assistant coach?
We do.
Can I ask you about the Good Friday game? There was always talk about Carlton. I think you were pretty big on this, that Carlton and I think North Melbourne might have been the other club where you were keen to play on a Good Friday. Now, it does seem that in recent times the feedback is that maybe the AFL Commission is becoming more favourable to a game on Good Friday? Yeah,
we had a meeting of the CEOs and presidents on the day of the Brownlow, and it got raised by Peter Gordon, actually, and James Brayshaw as well, but there was no doubt in the room that there was a general feeling that AFL should look to play Good Friday and tie it in with the Good Friday appeal, and all the other sports, cinemas, everyone else plays on Good Friday. And there was examples given about Italy, which is the Catholic centre of the world. They play Good Friday. Everyone plays Good Friday. So that was certainly put on the agenda. So it's obviously not going to happen next year, but I've on the basis of what was said during that meeting, and as I said, it was a groundswell of, I think, everybody thought that the code should have a look at playing that might happen in 2015.
Okay, and maybe.
Well, then there'd be jockeying for who plays.
Who plays? Yeah, I was going to say
that's putting their hand up, but I mean it's funny because we've historically played on Easter Thursday, say against the Tigers, but next year Easter's round 5, so. Obviously it moves Easter, so that's another little quirk in the system. But
how many Friday night games are you hoping for Carlton this year?
Look, I don't know how many we're going to get this year. We had a lot last year.
Yeah.
I would have thought that they rate well, and hopefully we can improve next year. And so I'd hope we get our fair share. I'm not sure how many that will be, but I think we've got those games. We've got those Monday night games against St Kilda again.
That wasn't very good last year. You lost that game.
No, we haven't won any of those, I don't think, for about the last 4 years. But
does it work from a commercial standpoint?
Well, it's St Kilda's home game, and I think it does. I think, and the crowds are always pretty solid, and I think corporately it's good. I think people just walk down to Etihad from the city, and I think they do well corporately out of that night, which is a bit strange, but I think that's how it works. So. Yeah, so we've got some games like that. I think even in round 2, I think we still play the Tigers on the Thursday night, from what I gather. But that'll be as you say. Hopefully we're both 1-0 and we can go on again and hopefully win again.
Well, you've handed us the premiership for 2014. What we lacked was a second ruckman and someone who could go forward and have long arms and jump up.
Yep.
And you gave it to us in Swann Hampson. So we thank you for that.
Yeah, no, he's a good kid, Sean, and I hope he goes well.
What does that mean now for your marketing with Megan Gale coming to Richmond?
That was a bit of a blow. Look, again, and Megan's a fantastic person as well.
And she baked for Richmond now too. She tweeted that.
She does. I mean, she follows her boyfriend around and she'll jump in behind him for sure. So that's a good get for the Tigers, although I'm not sure if she can play full back or not. But,
she hashtags all the time, yellow and black. I think that's what she hashtags right now.
Yeah, well, that's expected. I mean, you can't expect that she'd stick with Carlton when her boyfriend's playing for Richmond. But look, that was just we just thought that, with Robbie Warnock sort of getting some continuity and Cruz there, and that was something that we could do the trade, and the Tigers were really keen. So that happened quickly. That was an exception to the rule. That was done on the first day, and it seems like about 6 months ago. But
held everything up since.
Yeah, and nothing's happened since. I think that's the only thing that's been registered. So other than maybe a couple of free agents, but So anyway, that's done, and we wish Sean's been. He's a really good fella, as I said, and I wish him all the best, except for when he plays against us.
Any fans from Carlton off the SMSs, have you had any backlash regarding losing Eddie Betts? Because he was a fan favourite.
He was, and look, there was a few emails sent in, and a few people upset. Because one of the things we've got here is with your membership card, you can actually nominate who you want on your membership card, and quite a few people had Eddie on their membership card, which sort of obviously they were pretty attached to him. But look, it was. It's pretty well documented. Adelaide made him a sensational offer, and his dad's pretty crook, and he lives in Port Lincoln and comes up to Adelaide a fair bit. And I think there was, a combination of, a really good offer and being a bit closer to his family. And, as I said, he's got an ailing father, and so the deal, was too good, to be honest. So, look, absolutely sad to see him go, and it was really hard for him to make that decision, but. It is a bit of a business nowadays, and it just suited him better than what was available here. So he took the offer and went. And
of course, your motto this year is "We are Collingwood."
Who else have we got? Who's Shaw's gone?
David Butterford,
West Sydney.
David Butterford. David Butterford. Daisy Thomas.
Yeah, that's it.
Mick Malthouse.
We lost Gavin Brown.
Traded him out.
He went out the north.
But 1300 Carlton, is that still the famous number you call if you want to get a membership ticket?
Memberships are up and about. Look, as I said, we think, towards the end of last year, even though it was only Richmond we beat twice, we were actually pretty good the last month of the year. We had that really good win at Port Adelaide, beat the Tigers round 20 and then in that final. So hopefully that's a sign that we started to get it right late in the piece, and hopefully we can go on with it next year.
Okay, 1-300 Carlton for all those Blues fans. Get on board. Greg, always appreciate your time.
Good on you, KB.